Hello and welcome to the Xcom Enemy Unknown Prelude. I'm doing this so that you guys can get an idea of what Xcom's about before I start playing it. The general basis for the story is that the aliens have come to Earth and have started killing off all the general population for inexplicable reasons, and basically we at the beginning of the game you haven't got a clue. We don't know what's going on, and they seem to be sending these things that make people turn to goo. So, in response to the alien attack, this guy has started the Xcom project. The Xcom project is basically humans going Starship Troopers on the alien's ass. With this, we move on to the combat system. With the combat system, you're taken up in a dropship and dropped off at the location where the aliens have been sighted. The combat is squad turn-based tactics, and each trooper gets 2 turn phases. One where they can move a specific amount of distance, and one where they can use an ability. You can decide not to use this ability, and instead you can double the distance you can move by not, say, shooting or taking cover or something along those lines. You don't have to finish all your moves for each of your troopers before the end of the turn, allowing a lot of flexibility on how you control your troopers. Personally, I like to do all the movement first and then continue onto the abilities afterwards, much in the way you would in, say, a Warhammer 40k game. Once you've finished your turn, then these guys get a go. And during their turn phase, they get to try and move around, do exactly the same things as you, and try and shoot you in the face. Here you can see that missing your target isn't always a negative thing. If you can destroy the cover in which a trooper or an alien is hidden behind, it can give you a lot of tactical advantage and the rest of the squad hitting your target. The tactical phase is laid out like so. Here you get a percentage to hit and a percentage for critical based on your distance from the foe and the amount of cover between you and them. Another ability you're allowed to do is Overwatch. Overwatch allows you to hold on to your attack phase and use it during the enemy's turn. In this, you have a lower percentage chance to hit the target as you're reacting to their movements, but it can prove quite useful for moments like this, where an enemy is running through 2 different viewpoints to try and get to you. Here, both my troops ended up missing the alien, which isn't that great, but nonetheless, it's still a useful ability later on in the game. Also, of course, the aliens can do exactly the same to you, in which they try and blow your face off as you move around. Early on in the game, you do tend to miss a lot when it comes to stuff like this, but later on this can prove really, really useful. Long-range combat with a lot of cover between you can become quite a taxing thing for both sides of the combat. Both you and the enemy will have low percentage chances to hit during these phases. And for this reason, it is very useful to try and outflank your opponent, get around to a position where you've got a lot less cover between you and them, and try and get them from a side flank instead, giving you a beautiful animation of green blood spilt. So, you remember that guy I told you about who started the project? Don't worry, he comes in intermittently here and there, mostly at the end of each mission, just to tell you that he's keeping an eye on you, or that he'll be in touch soon, or something like that. Basically using the most intimidating voice available to try and say to you, don't mess this up.
We will be in touch, Commander.
At the end of your mission, you will get a chance to promote your crew if they've killed enough aliens during the combat, and you unlock new abilities as you go down. There are a lot of different ways of doing this, and it makes for quite interesting classes upon your troops. At the Xcom headquarters, you will get to meet a variety of characters, such as this guy here, who basically is a tutorial guy. He'll tell you when you're doing things wrong or what to do next. He sits in this room here where you get to have a look at the countries contributing to your cause, check out their panic levels, because if they panic too much, they will leave the XCOM project and you will lose a lot of money due to this. This lady here is part of the research team, and she constantly begs you not to kill the aliens so they can poke and prod them in their shiny laboratory. It can get a bit annoying sometimes when she's telling you not to blow hell out of them when you're pinned down, but she's got a point. This fella here, he basically charges you obscene amounts just to build equipment for your crew. This is equipment that you really need, but he does make it difficult nonetheless. You can build satellites to track the aliens, you can build the medkits here, you can build guns, weapons, armor, all the things a good trooper does need. You can also build new rooms to the facility. You have to excavate, as the whole facility is underground, and then you can build new rooms within. You start off with satellite uplink, power generator, and other things just to get you going, and you unlock more as you go along. This is yet another, it's all of these are like little tiny mini games within the game, and it makes the whole thing just feel really fleshed out. It's a really good game in these respects. Once you're done talking to your crew, you can go and search for alien activity. Here you will get a list of what's going on at the moment, and you have to choose which is the most important you need to go and see. Whoever is the most panicked is the one you normally want to go after. Early on in the game, obviously the panic levels are fairly low, but you do need to keep an eye on the most panicked nations within your control. Once you've selected your mission, you get to sort out your squad. Here you will decide who's coming with you on the mission and what they're going to take with them. In this you have a lot of control. You can completely customize your character, from name, last name, nickname, what race they are, what voice they have, hair color, skin color, all these things. And you can really personalize your troopers. But at the same time, if these troopers die, it's a permanent death. So if you go along and you really love your characters you're taking with you, it can be really upsetting if they die in the field, especially if you get them to top rank. If they die, it's a devastating blow to your team. So what I like to do in this scenario is take along a few lesser troops to try and train them up, just in case the really good troopers die. And when I do this, what I tend to do is call them the Redcoats, because the likelihood is they are probably going to be the ones to die in the mission. So give them a red coat, send them in, and we will see what happens. So for this game, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing two separate playlists. One is going to be the squad-based tactical fighting that you would expect me to be doing, and the other is going to be purely based on what I'm taking into each combat and what I'm doing back at the HQ. So we're going to have XCOM fighting and XCOM HQ. I'll probably come up with a better name than fighting, but that's nonetheless what's going to happen here. So if you're interested in seeing what I'm taking with me, feel free to watch that series. If you've got any advice, feel free to send that along as well, because I've played a fair bit of this game, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means at all. So with that, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to leave you with the intro to the game in case you haven't seen it. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy this series. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is a game I really love. I love the amount of detail in it, and I hope you guys will too. I really do think this is going to make for an interesting game. And yeah, with that, guys, thanks a lot, and I will see you soon.
recent extraterrestrial incursion. This Council of Nations has convened to approve the activation of the Xcom project. You have been chosen to lead this initiative, to oversee our first and last line of defense. Your efforts will have considerable influence on this planet's future. We urge you to keep that in mind as you proceed. Good luck, Commander.